The first day of model theory, we just briefly recapitulate on the rings. The topic is things about the rings. We know all this ring theory in our previous classes. It is just a brief recapitulation. So this is the first lecture on module theory, and you know the module is based on ring, like vector space on field, module on ring. So we need ring to study module. So let's start with ring. So what is ring? You know what is ring. Ring is just a set. It's obviously not empty set, and sometimes it's at least two element. That if it's just only one element, this is just zero. So just to avoid this trivial thing, we need at least two element. Obviously, if zero set containing only zero element, this is a ring. You know what is a ring? Ring has any set with composed with two composition binary operation. One is addition, the first operation, and the multiplication, the second operation. And we know this is a commutative group under this addition, commutative. So all this properties, associativity, commutativity, and others, identity and existence of inverse. Under multiplication, what happened? It is just associative. Is under multiplication, it is just semigroup. Commutativity may not be there. Existence of identity may not be there. Existence of inverse may not be there. So if commutativity is only associative, and distributive law, also distributive law is there. Distributive law. This thing. And if this second operation, the multiplication is commutative, then we say this commutativity. And if inverse exists, this is called sometimes called ring with identity. And if inverse also exists, it is a field. Inverse other than the zero element. We know zero has no inverse. Zero has inverse if ring is just only element zero. Then zero has element. Zero is the zero element. Zero is the identity. Zero inverse of zero is zero. So it is a trivial case. So we discuss only ring with at least two elements. What are the basic property? The important basic property is these are all assumptions. The definition. The property what we can prove that the most important part is that 0 into A is 0 for all. This is the most important part. Sorry, this is R. So 0 into A is 0. You can easily prove that 0 into A is 0. And one more important property is if minus A into B is nothing but which is same as A into minus B, and which is minus A dot B. We know the proof. These are very, very important thing. And one thing is cancellation law. We know the for addition is cancellation law hold, but multiplication may not, the cancellation law may not be hold. So A dot B equal to A dot C, whether is it equal to or not, B equal to C. It may or may not be. If A inverse exists, inverse means in inverse in the second operation, multiplicative inverse, then obviously this is called division ring. Division ring has every non-zero element has inverse, then it's called division ring or skew field. Then commutativity may not be there. So it's just a field except the commutativity property. It's called division ring or skew field. In that case, it is true, but still there are some cases where it is not a division ring. The inverse may not exist, but this is true. Like in integer, Z. Z has this property. So Z, which inverse is not exist. So 2 inverse is just my half. It's not in Z, but still we can show that 2x, if 2x is equal to 2y, then x equal to y. That we can show in different way. It is not just divided by, you just multiply by half, and this proof is not correct. If you say 2x equal to 2y, they multiplied by half, and then x equal to y, this proof is wrong because there is no such half there in Z. So you have to prove in different way why x equal to y. So these things are very important basic properties of this ring, mainly especially that 0 into A is 0. And we know that some examples of ring, there are several examples of ring, like Z, any field is a ring, Q, or in important, they are in ZP, Zn. Zn is a ring, and if N is, you know the Zn, it is Z mod N, so modulo N concurrency class. Say Z3 is just 0, 1, 2. It's all classes of Z, 0, 1, 2. In Z3, 2 plus 1 is 0. And it will be filled if N is prime. We know if N is prime, if and only if it is ZP is Zn is filled if and only if N is prime. So these are the basic some basic properties and example of ring. Now there are some terms which is called unity. Unity is, what is unity? Is again, one is unity means one. You can write one, or you can write U, whatever, or you can write E. This is just this for all A. If for all A some element into multiplied by A equal to A into 1 equal to A, then 1 is called unity. This is called unity. What is units? Units which have the inverse. So if A has some inverse, if there exists B such that A dot B equal to B dot A equal to 1, then we call B is called inverse of A. And if it's just A into B equal to 1, it is called left inverse. If BA equal to 1, it is called right inverse. If it is a both sided, it is called the inverse. And this, if inverse exists, then A is a units. So this A is units and 1 is unity. Obviously, unity is a unit. Like in, say, in a field, say 5 is units, but 5 is not unit. The units are 1. Other than 0, everything is units in field. Zero divisor. The important part is zero divisor. You know what is zero divisor? If a two elements A and B is multiplied and then equal to 0, then A and B is called zero divisors. Obviously, if one of them is 0, then it is 0. The interesting case, whether there is non-zero zero divisor exists or not. The non-zero zero divisor is a divisor of 0, but itself is non-zero. So interesting thing is A not equal to 0, B not equal to 0, but still AB equal to 0. And clearly, if AB equal to 0 and A not equal to 0, B not equal to 0, then it is AB cannot be, both cannot be unit. Because if A is unit, then B equal to 0. AB 0 implies B equal to 0. If B is unit, then AB equal to 0 implies A equal to 0. So it should not be unit. So that means field has no non-zero zero divisor. You know what is nilpotent? Nilpotent is A to the power n equal to 0 for some n. If there is some natural number n such that A to the power n is 0, then it's called nilpotent element. And what is nilpotency? The smallest positive integer for which A to the power n is 0. A to the power n, what is the definition of A to the power n? It is just A to the power n is A into A into A, n times. Now, idempotent. You know what is idempotent? This A square equal to A. Just A square equal to A, then it's called idempotent element. So this is a basic terminology and some properties and example of the ring. Next, subring. What is subring? So subring is a subset of that ring, and we have this ring R with addition and multiplication, and we just try to find whether S and dot is again a ring is own right or not. The same addition coming from R. So if it is a ring in own right, then we say S is subring of R. Remember that that addition and multiplication must be come from that R, the same binary operation, just a restricted version. It's a restriction. This binary operation restricted on S cross S. Now, then N is a subring of R. One thing is important. If R is commutative, then subring is commutative, obviously, but the opposite is not true. So there are some ring which is not commutative, but the subring is commutative. That may happen. That may happen. Like the set of all, say, square matrix is a ring, is not commutative. Say all square matrix of order n, all 3 cross 3 matrix. Then it's not a commutative ring, but it's a ring. But if you take all the subset of the diagonal matrix, only diagonal matrix, the diagonal matrix are commutative. If A and B are 2 dimensional diagonal matrix, then AB equal to B. And this subring is commutative. One important thing again is this. So if ring has an identity, the subring may not have the identity. Like Z has identity, and the subring is just a set of all even integer is a subring, but it may not have, it's not have identity with it. So that's why this ring is some sort of bad thing rather than the field. Field is a sort of good objects, where ring has some this type of bad properties. This is very interesting and to know. Eventually, the other may be happen. So, if ring has no, even if the ring has no identity element, the subring may have the identity element. So that means in the element which is a identity in subring may not be identity in the ring. That the further ring actually. Right. Now the important part is the ideal. The subring, the structure of subring is not a good thing to study, but the good thing to study is the ideal. What is the basic difference between the ideal and subring? So basic difference between ideal and subring is that, so addition, it is same. About the multiplication, you know that AB in the subring, then A dot B is in the S, in that ring, it's called subring. But if it so happen that, but this R coming from R, then RA is in S. If this property hold, then it is called left ideal. And if AR equal to belongs to S, this is called right ideal. And if it is a two thing, RA and RA may not be equal to AR, but RA and AR both are in S, then this S is called ideal. This is both sides ideal or ideal. So this non-commutative things actually makes the life very, very complicated. So sometimes we discuss on the only commutative part. So there is a branch of algebra, it's called commutative algebra. So in commutative algebra, if we take the commutativity, then life is sort of easier than non-commutative. In non-commutative, is just a very mess and very complicated part. So always there is a left idea, right idea, left inverse, right inverse. Whether left inverse exists, whether right inverse may not exist, something sort of this thing. So if you just assume this commutativity thing, then everything will be much simpler in ring. So also sometimes we introduce assume that one is there. So we say it is commutative ring with identity, just commutative ring with identity. So this is a basic difference between ideal and this is already subring. So obviously ideal is a subring. Yes, ideal is a subring, but the thing is a subring may not be ideal. Subring may not be ideal. So ideal in terms of a general concept. So why this thing needed? Why this thing we discuss on when we discuss on field group or field, we just discuss on our vector space. We just sub of that subfield, subgroup, sub space, something like subset. But why is ideal is important rather than the subring? This is actually important came from this normal subgroup. If it is not commutative group, then if you have any subgroup, you can't quotient by that subgroup. If G is a group and H is a subgroup, the G mod H, this quotienting by H, this not exist. Then this there's all this operations on G mod H is not undefined, it's not well defined. To when G has a group, G is a group and H is a subgroup, to define a binary operation G mod H, you need that H to be a normal subgroup. Similarly here, if you have a R is a ring and if S is a subring, you can't quotient that R mod S, and then again this well-definedness problem will be there. And if you take the I as a S as a ideal, then only R mod S is possible. So R quotient by S will be well defined if you take this subring as an ideal. So that's why these ideals are important rather than the subring. Now there's the important part. Thing some in ring are called integral domain. You know, some rings are integral domain. What is integral domain? You know that integral domain is like that. If AB equal to 0, obviously it is a ring, and then either A equal to 0 or B equal to 0. That means there is no non-zero, non-trivial, non-zero zero divisor. There is no non-zero zero divisors. If there is a zero divisor, the 0 is the only zero divisors. There is no non-zero zero divisors. So no non-zero zero divisor. Zero is the only zero divisor. So if A not equal to 0, B not equal to 0, then AB not is equal to 0. In field we know this is true, but in general ring it is not true. Like A is a matrix, B is another matrix, both are non-null matrix, and then if you multiply a square matrix, say if you multiply AB, then maybe a square null matrix. So this is not an integral domain. So integral domains are very important. Why? Because in that case, the cancellation law, the left cancellation law, like Z is integral domain. So right cancellation law and left cancellation law hold. So we need actually the cancellation law rather than the inverse existence of inverse, because this Ax equal to Ay, then we want to, it will be better to if you have this type of properties in ring. But it is not true. It is not true if this has some non-zero divisor is non-zero zero divisor are there. If non-zero zero divisors are there, then this is not true. Like a matrix is not true. Ax equal to Ay, you can't say Yx equal to Y. In matrix is not true. So if field, it is true because we just pre-multiplied by the multiplication on the left side by the A inverse. But still, A inverse may not exist, but still it hold like a Z. So why it is hold? Because we know this, and we know this is actually A dot x minus. You just omit the dot. If I write Ax, that means A dot x. And obviously, you know what is the meaning of that, Ax minus Ay. This is actually Ax minus Ay's meaning of that is just Ax plus minus of Ay. This is the definition. By definition, Ax minus Ay is just Ax plus minus of Ay. So there's A into Y first, then take the inverse of that, additive inverse, then add with Ax. And again, if it is a no non-zero divisor, that means is A not equal to 0. If A equal to 0, obviously true. So if A not equal to 0, then x minus y is 0. That means x equal to y. So if there is no non-zero zero divisors, then this left, if it is a left, then left cancellation law. If it is a right, then it is a right cancellation law. If it is a commutative or both sided, then both cancellation law will hold. So this important part is the existence of inverse is rather merely is not that much important. The important part is the cancellation thing, and we can do cancellation other than inverse also. Without the inverse we can do this in integral domain. So that's why integral domain is very important. And you know the finite integral domain is a field. Basically, a finite integral domain is a field. Any finite integral domain is a field. What is division ring? Division ring is this. It is everything is there. So associativity is up to associativity is there. Identity is there. In integral domain, identity is there. Commutative may not be there. And some author also assume that in some book the integral domain is a commutative. But some author assume that okay, integral domain may not be one exists, may not be commutative. Now, if say commutative part, we forget about the commutative part. Just one exists and this inverse exists. That means this cancellation law hold. This is called division ring. So division ring is a just field except the only one property is that property is commutativity. So commutative division ring is field. It's just not we are least important interested on this division ring. We are mainly interested on the integral domain, and obviously in the field has every good properties. It's an integral domain as well as a division ring. Everything is there. So everything, this inverse or identity, everything is there except the zero has no multiplicative inverse. That zero element, the zero means the additive inverse. So additive inverse has no, sorry, additive identity has no multiplicative inverse. So this is called field. Now some examples, there are some quick examples and very important examples are this. So I will not discuss elaborately on that. In book you will find this ring of continuous functions, a set of all continuous functions for from some domain to a real number or complex number. This forms a ring, or maybe in any metric space, any metric space. So this form a ring. So continuous function from a metric space to another metric space. So this forms a ring. You know, that's because of addition of sum of two continuous function is continuous. Continuous function multiplication of two continuous function is continuous. So again, the inverse may not exist. So it is just a ring. You know, matrixing. This is very interesting and important, useful ring is matrixing. Set of all square matrix of some order, fixed order, forms a ring. Again, this is very, very important. You have to learn this part very elaborately, because this we need this thing, and this polynomial ring. So you have to read the polynomial ring is very elaborately. What is called polynomial ring? You know what is called polynomial of some degree, or maybe any degree. There will be two things: is some 6 degrees or less than or equal to n, or maybe any degree polynomial. So, and you know the sum of two polynomials, polynomial product of two, how to product, multiply or add this polynomial. That is in class 7 or 8, 6. We know how to add or how to multiply two polynomials. This is called polynomial ring. You know, this all polynomial sum, something like that. By the way, this is sometimes called formal representation. Because what is formal representation? Because you know, you just remember that this a0, a1, a2, an, these may not be a real number. These are from the abstract set. The ring may consist of set like some lion, tiger, dog, cat, something like that. And maybe talk on that multiplication thing. So tiger into say dog is say cat. Dog plus elephant is equal to lion. Maybe such a thing happen. It may not be real number. It might be subset. It may not be complex. Eventually, it may not be number at all. So in polynomial ring, these are coming from that ring a0, a1, a2. But what is x? The question: what is x? We know this. These are coming from that ring. Or if it's a real number or complex, whatever. It may be in general ring, maybe tiger, cat, dog, whatever. What is x? This is a very important question. What is x? Is x from R? Is x an element of R? So what is x square? Is it x into x? Actually, it's not true. No, x is not x into x. X to the power n is not x into x into x into that thing. A1x is not just a1 into x, because x is not the element of R. Remember, x is not the element of R. So once x is not the element of the ring, you can't talk about a1 into x. It is just not a1 into x. It's just, what is then? What is this x? That's the problem. That's why it's called is a formal expression or formal notation of representation of the polynomial. The actual thing is you should write the polynomial like that, like a coordinate. These are basically this x1, x2, x1, x square, x to the power n actually fix the coordinate, the position of all these elements of the ring. So if I say 1 plus 2x plus x squared is just 1 comma 2 comma 1, that coordinate. It's nothing more than that. There's no x is there. So it's just an element of r to the power n plus 1. It's just an element of r to the power n plus 1. Now, how do we add this? We know how to add. It's coordinate wise adding. It's a0, a1, an plus b0 dot dot bn. That is just a0 plus b0, comma a1 plus b1 dot dot. And how to multiply? You know that how to multiply. This is called the convolution. We know how to multiply. How to multiply to polynomial. It's just a convolution. So if you just take a and this is b, then a, or like a vector thing. So a dot b is not a dot product. Remember, it is not a dot product. It is a C0. It is called convolution. Cn is again in Rn. Is a it may not, Rn may not be an n degree polynomial. It will be less than n degree polynomial. It may be some less than, because this an may be 0. If an 0, then degrees is not n. So what is C0? You know what is C0. It is a0 b0. What is C1? You know it is a0 b1 plus a1 b0. Similarly, what is A2, C2? It is just A0 B2 plus A1 B1 plus A2 B0. Because it is just a coefficient of x squared. So we know how to multiply. We know this in class 7 or 6. But remember, again, this x squared is not just x into x. It is not x into x. A1x is not A1 into x, because x is not the element of the ring. Since it is not the element of a ring, we can't talk about this multiplication or addition or anything. It is just a coordinate thing. No need, actually, is no need of thing, because no need of this multiplication, because if you just multiply two coordinates to second coordinate, it will go to the third coordinate. That's the important. That's the important thing. If you multiply a1 into b1, that go to the third coordinate, C2. So this is formal representation of polynomial ring. You have to learn elaborately all these things from the book. And again, power series ring. What is power series ring? You know, again, is a formal notation is this. Power series notation is this: x0 to the power 0. Sorry, and this n equal to 1 to 0 to infinity. This is a formal power series notation. But again, this is not that. This is the x1 is just x, x2 is x squared is just x into x, and then addition. This is not that, because x is not the element of the ring. This is called indeterminate. It actually keeps the fix the position of a1, a2, n. It's basically a sequence. It's a sequence, basically. There is no x. Remember, in polynomial, in power series formal thing, there is no such x. X is just to write, for expression. To write something, we need x. X is not an element of R. So we can't talk about x into x or x plus x. It's totally vague to write x plus x. Then there is the important thing, it's called evolution function. When you evaluate some polynomial at some point, this is called evolution function. So what is the evolution function? Evolution function, now it will be, if you want to evaluate that thing, say this is a polynomial, say 1, 2, 2. So what is this? This is by formal notation expression is 1 plus 2x plus x, 2x squared. This is a formal thing. So here again, it is not x into x. It is not 2 into x into x. It is not 2 into x. Or it is not 1 plus 2 into x. It is not that. It is just 1 comma 2 comma 2. Now, evaluation function at evaluated something at if we want to evaluate at some, say 3, in that thing, this is called evaluation function. This is, you just replace your x by 3. If it is in Z. If you just, then it is, since you are just replace x by an element of ring, now we can talk about x square. Now we can just multiply and you just add this thing. Now it is it's a Z. It's an element of Z. That is the element of this ring. So that evaluation function, that if you take a one point and if you evaluate that polynomial to that point, that evaluation value is now is element of R. But this polynomial in polynomial x squared is not x into x, remember. But once I evaluate that polynomial value at some x equal to 5 or that, then it will be x squared will be then in that case 5 into 5, and 2x is just 2 into 5, remember that. So it's called evaluation thing. You will see in the book, and in several books are there in the modern algebra. Power series is the same thing as is polynomial. It's just a sequence thing. Again, there's an evaluation function there, and eventually this evaluation function may only convergent, question of convergent of all these things will be there. So forget about all these things. You just, if you have this abstract set, abstract ring like as lion, dog, tiger, they can't say about this convergent thing. Lion plus tiger plus cat is limit of this. You can't say about this. So this you can only say when this is some numbers or some metric thing is there. Some metric, some distance, some limit concept will be there if you have some metric, distance concept, Euclidean norm or something like that. But once we talk in the general ring, remember there in the ring there nothing distance is there. There's mod value of x, mod of 2 minus 3. There's nothing such distance or metric. There's no topology. It's just abstract state with together with addition and multiplication. Eventually there is no greater than or less than thing. You can't say this is less than this is less than that. There's nothing less than, greater than thing, nothing metric, distance thing. It's only addition and multiplication. Remember that. Don't forget that. What is LoRa ring? LoRa ring is just A0, here A1x, dot up to say A1, ANX to the power n, and here it is just say A minus 1. This is a coefficient. It is in R. You can write B1, x to the power minus 1, which is just 1 by x. This again is a formal, it's just A minus AMX to the power minus n. So it is a formal representation. Again, you can write in this polynomial like coordinate. It's called LoRa ring. And you know what is LoRa series? LoRa series is just the whole thing, the series. LoRa series is, here is x1 x2 and here also my 1 by x 1 by x2. Again, this 1 by x not just 1 divided by x. Remember, it is not x inverse because x is not from that ring. Eventually, if it is from the field, then also 1 by x is not just the 1 divided by x or in x inverse, because that x is not from the field. Remember, is indeterminate. It's like a sequence. Boolean ring, what is called Boolean ring? Boolean ring, if every element is s square equal to e. If every element s square equal to e, you know that is called, there is called characteristics of this element or order of this element in group we say, and in ring or field it's called characteristics. If s square equal to, so every element is called something called involutory. So if s square equal to e, then it's called Boolean ring. And you will see some in book some example of Boolean rings. These are some very important examples which need in the model theory. These examples. Now we have some terminology. One is called direct product. What is direct product? So if R and S are two ring, then R direct product is sometimes write direct product. Sometimes someone write this, someone write this. So this are called is actually a Cartesian product, but again it's a Cartesian product. But how do you add these two elements? So if it is R1 S1, how do you add R2 S2? It's clear. It is just R1 R2. Sorry, R1 plus R2, S1 plus S2. And how do you multiply these two elements? Is no problem because R1 and R2 in the form of both the same ring. And remember that this plus and this plus is not same. Remember that. Okay. Why these two plus are not same? Eventually, all three plus are not same. Because this plus is actually defined on R cross R. It is the addition on ring R. And this plus is the addition on ring S. And this we are going to define on R cross S. So these three plus, the same symbol, but they are different plus, different functions. Similarly, again, this dot and this dot is different. And this dot, three different dots. So already these two dots are defined in R and S. Now we are going to define a multiplication on R cross S. This is by definition. You can show that this is forms a ring. And if R and N both have identity, then multiplicative inverse, then all these things are is also in R and R process, in R direct sum, direct product. Yes. And you can define the R1 direct product, R2 direct product, R3 like that, and for finitely many rings. Remember, this elements of this S and R may be different type. Maybe R are from J, and S are from some animals, set of animals, something like that. So R1 cross R2 cross R3. R1 may be set of all integers, R2 may be set of some animals, or R3 may be set of some states with some addition property, maybe some addition property, some Gujarat plus Rajasthan may be equal to West Bengal. This is the abstract thing. So characteristics of ring. So you know characteristics. What is characteristics? So the characteristic of ring is such a n natural number such that this n equal to 0 for all a. What is the definition of na? Again, what is the definition of na? A is some abstract thing, is maybe tiger or lion, but n is natural number. So definition of n is not n into a. Remember, definition of 2x is not 2 into x. The definition of 2x is x plus x. So it is a plus a plus a n times. So you can add n times. You can add any as much as you can, that many times. So it is n times addition. And if it is smallest such n, that's n must be the smallest. Because if n is 3, then 6 also will have this property. So the smallest such n for which, again, remember, note that if a two element a1, for say a1 it is 2a1 is 0, but for a2 it is maybe so happen that 2a2 is not 0, but 4a2 is 0. Then we take 4. We don't take 2. That 4 is the characteristic set. So characteristics of integral domain is a very, very important. A characteristic of integral domain must be. Oh, by the way, if there is no such n, if no such n exists, then we call characteristics of this ring is 0. We say characteristics of ring is 0 means no such exists. So if we add a plus a, never go to the 0. Other than 0, obviously, other than 0, 0 plus 0 is 0. So other than this 0, you can't have any common n for which this addition. It may be so happen that a plus a is 0. That may happen. But a1 plus a1 is 0. But a2 plus a2 is not 0. So a2 plus a3, sorry, it's 3a3 may be 0. Then in that case, a3, 2a3, 3a3 is not 0. So there is no such common n. In that case, we say this characteristic is 0, something like z. If we add non-zero elements, it never end with a 0. Same element, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So characteristic is 0. In that field has characteristic 0 or some other finite characteristics. And it is very important to notice that the integral domain is a characteristic is a prime number or 0. Is a prime or 0. It may be 0 in a field like Z, or in field it is a 0. But if it is not a 0, if some n exists, then that n must be a prime number. That n must be a prime number for integral domain. That is very, very important. So any characteristic of any integral domain is just prime number. So then very, very important of the ring is ideal. So if I is an ideal, of some ring, or is ring with some addition and multiplication. It two-sided ideal. It may be one-sided, left or right, or maybe both-sided. If ring is a commutative ring, then it is no question of left and right. Everything is just both-sided ideal is ideal. What is maximal ideal? Maximal ideal. The maximal ideal is if you have a ideal such that I is an ideal, and for if you take any other ideal which is in between I and j, that implies either j equal to I or j equal to r. Ij are ideals of R. That means there is no ideal between I and R, and I not equal to R. because the whole ring is the ideal of itself. So that's a maximal thing, some sort of maximality is there. So there is no bigger ideal than that I. This is called maximal ideal. Like in Z, the 2Z is an ideal and 2Z is the maximal ideal, but 4Z is not the maximal ideal, because 4Z, the all the elements of multiple of 4, 4, 8, 0, 4, 8, minus 4, minus 8. This is not a maximal ideal because this contain is in 2Z and which contain in Z. And this thing is not equal. So 4Z is not maximal ideal, but 2Z is maximal ideal. And next important part is the quotient ring. What is quotient ring? If R, what is R mod I? These are set of all quotients. You know, in group theory, if G is a group and H is a normal subgroup, how to define G mod H? This is quotient ring is just defined like that, set of all quotients. So it is a collection of subsets. Remember, I is a subset of R. So A, what is the definition of A plus I? A plus I is by definition is A plus R, such that R is A is fixed. A is fixed outside. Now R is running over all I. So this is A plus R. That by definition, a element plus is set. A element plus the set is defined like that. That element and the every element of the set, just add one by one. This is called the quotients. Now this coset, the set of all such cosets, forms a ring. How do you define that ring? Then in like a group theory, it is same thing as group theory. It's defined like that. It's by definition. This colon means by definition equal. You cannot prove this. By definition, we are defining that addition like that between two cosets, and this multiplication like that. Obvious thing. Obvious multiplication is this. And using this to addition, again, this addition and the previous addition is not same. This is the addition of the new set. So addition and this multiplication is defined on this all set of all coset, then it forms a ring. You can prove all these properties, all this associativity, all this commutativity, distributive, everything you can prove. In book is details there in modern algebra book. So you can easily prove that this forms a ring. But if you take that, if you don't take I as the ideal, only subring, then you have some problem. Then you can't define A plus I plus B plus I like A plus I. That addition will be not a problem. The problem for multiplication there will be a problem. For multiplication there is a problem because there actually needs some outside element. Because A is from outside, A and B are from outside of I. So we need some outside product, A into some element of I. If it is not in I, then there is a problem. So that's why ideal is important, and this ring is called quotient ring. And there are several results like that. If I is a maximal ideal, then R mod I is filled. Actually, it's even only if is filled. Because field has no ideal other than 0 in itself. 0 is an ideal, the set containing only 0 and the whole set. This is ideal. There's no other ideal, because if you take anything, it will give 1, and if you have 1, it's the whole thing, whole field. So now the idea is this: if I is the maximal ideal, and if you quotient that like that, then all the elements of this maximal ideal going to be 0. Because here 0 means the identity element. Here, remember, this I is the identity element in R mod I. So every element of I is just a squeeze to a 0. Just think, every element of I we just squeeze to 0. Like Z mod 3. What is Z mod 3? It is Z mod 3 means Z mod quotient by 3Z. That means 3. What is 3Z? 0, 3, 6, minus 3, minus 6. You are just going to collapse all these elements like 0. So 3 is now 0, 6 is now 0, minus 3 is now 0. That means 2 plus 1 is 0 in quotient group, in congruent modulo class Z3. 2 plus 1 is 0 because it's 3, and 3 we just squeeze 3 to the 0. That means if you quotient by some ideal, that means the elements of ideal is like to be 0. Now if at a maximal ideal, then every element is going to be 0 of this maximal ideal. and then there should not be any other ideal other than that I bigger. So every ideal is going to 0. So there is no other ideal. That's why the rough idea is this: R mod I is filled, because R mod I, in R mod I, there is no other idea other than this R mod I itself and the I. Because in between I and R, there is no ideal in R. So this is the idea. And again, if it is a sometimes called prime ideal, you know what is prime ideal? This is a prime ideal. A is called prime ideal. This is called prime ideal if this R mod I is an integral domain. So in that case, R mod I is an integral domain. If P is a prime ideal, then R mod I is an integral domain. So these are very interesting things which you need in the model theory, and these are generators of ideals, or maybe subring. What is a generator? It's like a vector space, or in a group. What is generating? So if R is a ring and we take a element A, and what is the generating set using A? This is just R into A. If it's a say it is a left generator, if it's to commutative both sides, no problem. So left, similarly for the right, AR, R is coming. This is called generating set generated by A, single element. This is ideal, and this is sometimes called principal ideal. So only one element, PID. If it is a domain, this is called PID, principal ideal. If every ideal is principal ideal in a domain, then it's called PID, principal ideal. Now, it may not be a domain, it may not be any ring, it may not be commutative, it may not be principal ideal domain, but this ideal is generated by a single element. Now, what is ideal element by two elements? Say ideal generated by two elements. Not it means not a coordinate. It is just is ideal generated by two elements, A and B. By definition, this is some RA plus SB. If it's a left, if it's right, then the AR plus SB, and if it's a both sided, no problem. R and N both in R. Now, in some books, they write also that A like this. This is like NA plus RA, where N from Z and R from R. But these two are equal actually. It's trivial to show that these two are equal. Why? Why these two are equal? Because actually NA is the element of RA. Actually NA is the element of RA. Element of that set containing all the elements like RA. Why? Because you can take smaller as a 1, because R in 1 is 1. Oh, no, that may not be equal with me. Oh, if R is with identity, then these two are equal, right? If R has 1, if ring has 1, then these two are equal. This 1 may not be in R. So if 1 is there, then just NA is nothing but just what is this? What is N? N is by definition 1 plus 1 plus 1 N times into A, which is just by distributive law A plus A plus A. Now this N is actually belongs to R. Why? Why N is belongs to R? N is belongs to R. Because N is nothing but 1 plus 1 plus 1, and 1 belongs to R, so 1 plus 1 plus 1, R times belongs to R. But the problem is, if 1 is not there, then you can't say this is RA. This NA is not the element of RA. In that case, you have to write like that. It is for the case when A is there. So you should write this NA plus RA plus MB plus SB, where N, M are any integer, you can take -1 also. -1 is just the inverse of this. -1 into a is just minus, and R and S R belongs to that. This is a definition. Ideal generated by 2 element, and if 1 is there, then you can just remove this n, a, and mb, because n and m then element of R. If 1 is there, then 2 is there. By definition, 2 is 1 plus 1. Otherwise, you have to write this thing. So, x plus x. If 2 is not there, you can write x plus x equal to 2x. 2 into x. X plus x, you can write 2x. You can denote x plus x by 2x, but that 2x is not 2 into x. If every ideal in a domain is a principal, then this by single element, like Z is a PID. It's called PID or principal ideal. What is finitely generated ideal? Ideal means it is generated by the finitely many elements. There may so happen that the ideal generated by the infinitely many elements. The ideal generated by finitely many elements, some 10 or 15 or 1 core, this is called finitely generated ideals. These are important for model theory, these finitely generated ideals. We are not going through that infinitely generated thing. We are only using deal with finitely generated thing. Now this is the important and the last part of this lecture. This is homomorphism. What is homomorphism? Homomorphism actually it is any structure. What is group homomorphism? There is a group homomorphism in vector space which is called linear transformation, and homomorphism in a group, something called morphism. Homomorphism ring is actually structure preserving map. If there are 2 rings S and R, they map the phi. It's called structure preserving or homomorphism. What if the 2 things happen? This is this plus this. Remember, these 2 plus are different. Again, these 2 plus are different. Why these 2 plus are different? Because this first phi of a plus b is a plus, the addition operation in R. And this plus phi a plus phi b, phi a and phi b both are in S. So phi a plus phi b, this addition is not in R, this addition in S. So it may so happen that the S is also R. So it's R from R, but the ring is different. Why? Same set ring different. Why? Because there are 2 different operations. R with one type of addition, one type of multiplication, and R with another type of addition, another type of multiplication. Now we are going to define, say, it is R1 and R2. R1 is, as a set, R1 and R2 are same, but as a ring, they are not same because the by operations are different. So if I define a function from R1 to R2, that means R to R. In that case, the same element A, B, both are from R. Phi A and phi B, both are from R. But still, that phi A plus B, that plus, and this phi A plus phi B, that plus is not same because they found R2 and this is R1. Different binary operation in same set. This should be very clear. Very much clear, otherwise we get in mess. And similarly, this multiplication is not same, it's a different multiplication. So if these 2 things hold, then we call it structure preserving maps or called homomorphism ring of rings, 2 rings. And sometimes if unity is there, then we also introduce one more thing, because you can't prove this. Again, these 2 1 are different. You have to introduce this thing, phi of 1 equal to 1. But in field, if R and S are 2 field, then you can prove that phi 1 equal to 1. But generally, you can't prove that. So some author is take as the assumption, or some other in definition, some author take phi 1 equal to 1 if R is there, 1 is there, and some book do not take this thing, phi 1 equal to 1. So ring with identity. If it's just ring, then we just this last third assumption is not there. So again, these 2 are not different. First phi 1 1, that are one identity element in R, and that the second one is identity element in S. 2 different set. In maybe so happen that R is a Z and S is a 2Z, then this one is 1 and the next one is just 2. If R is a subset of R, S is a subset of R, and then but the identity element of S is a different from R, then it may happen. I don't know, they may or may not happen. the different element is 1, just 2 is 1 now, in the equal to 2, or phi of 1 equal to 2, where 2 is the 1 of S. So again, these two 1 are different. So when just 1 means just the 1 is not 1 in the what he taught in learn in class 1 or class KG. That is not that 1. This 1 may be tiger or lion. So phi of tiger is equal to some West Bengal, maybe like that. So tiger is the 1 in the first case, left hand side, and that West Bengal is a 1 in the right hand side. Monomorphism. If it's an injective homomorphism, it's called monomorphism. And if it's a onto function, then it's called epimorphism. And if it is the same R to R, then it's called endomorphism. If S is same R with the same ring, not the different operation, same ring, this is called endomorphism. And if it's a both bijective and injective, is both injective and onto surjective is called bijective, and bijective homomorphism is called isomorphism, like a group. And there are several results in isomorphism theorem. If phi is a homomorphism, then there is a concept of kernel of phi. What is kernel of phi? Is kernel of phi set of all x in R such that phi x is 0 in that S. This 0 is in S. It's called kernel. And this kernel of phi is an ideal in R. You can easily prove that kernel of phi is ideal in R, and R mod kernel of phi, this is isomorphic. So it is isomorphic. That means there is an isomorphism between R mod kernel of phi to the image of phi. Image of phi. You know what is called image? Image of a function, the range set. So the range set, which is a subset of R, subset of S, actually subring of S, may not be ideal. And this R mod kernel of phi is ideal in R, is isomorphic. That means there is an isomorphism between R mod kernel phi to image of phi. And in vector space, this type of same type of thing is there, rank nullity theorem. So this isomorphism theorem this is called first isomorphism theorem. There are several isomorphism theorem. Also second isomorphism theorem, something if I is in J and J is so J is an ideal and I is an ideal in J again. Then R mod first mod by J, then if you J that mod by I, and this is isomorphic to R mod J. So that means you are first going to collapse all these elements of I to the 0. Then all the elements of J is not going to the 0. This is a J mod I. And next we define going to collapsing all J mod I to the 0. That means ultimate thing is it is R mod J. So everything is in J is going to 0. But remember this, as I said, they are not equal. This is isomorphic. You can define a bijection. Bijection means it is a bijective homomorphism. So this is called second isomorphism theorem. There are several isomorphism theorem in ring, group, and field theory also in vector space. And this is the last thing, is factorization in domain. If A or B are two elements in some domain R, so R is a ring, domain means a ring, integral domain. Domain means integral domains. If A, B are two elements of R, then if A, B equal to C, A, B means A dot B, C is also in R. Then we call this A and B are two divisor of C, or two factors of C, like a Z in Z. 3 into 2 is equal to 6. So 2 and 3 are the divisor of C. This and C is called this AB is called the factorization of C. Again, this is maybe an abstract set, something like tiger equal to lion into elephant. So lion and elephant are the divisor of tiger. It is not like always it's a number. So this is called, and this is called division in domain. So it is division. We divide actually C by A and we get the quotient as B, like that. Is B. Remember, this ABC may not be number. It's again lion, tiger, or West Bengal, Bihar, UP. If you divide UP by West Bengal, then the quotient is say Rajasthan, maybe something like that. So in that case, we call AB is called the divisor of C, and we call A divides C, B divides C, and these are called factors or divisors of C. What is associate? Associates are if U has a unity, say if universe exists, then U is called unit. This U is called unit, and if AU is called associate of U. A is associate of A. Because you can always write A in terms of AU. You can always factorize A like AU. So AU is a divisor. So should I say it is a divisor? Because it is just, yes, it is divisor, but it's not an interesting thing because AU inverse exists. So interesting part is not that. Interesting part is whether it's a non-unit, whether B is a non-unit or A is a non-unit. Then is a non-trivial thing, but otherwise it's trivial because inverse exists there. So in Z, this is interesting, 2 into 3 equal to 6. But in Q, this 2 into 3 equal to 6 is not so interesting because 2 and 3 are both has a inverse in Q. So in Q, this division algorithm, this quotient, this thing are not there actually. You can do, but this is not interesting. In a field, it is not interesting at all because every element other than 0 is associated to each other. So important part is the irreducible element. So we can always write A in terms of AU into U inverse. That we can always write. But the question whether can I write A in terms of AB, BC, such that B and C both are not non-unit? Can I write this in two different non-unit things? If we can write this is a factorization. It's non-trivial factorization. But if we can't do this, then it is called irreducible element. This A is called irreducible element. Like 3 in Z. 3 in Z. You can't write 3 in terms of two product, but you can always write 3 like 3 equal to minus 3 into minus 1. But this is not violated the irreducible thing, irreducibility, because minus 1 is a unit element, because minus 1 has the inverse. Minus 1 is inverse is minus 1. So minus 1 is unit. So this factorization is it's trivial actually. So that's why 3 is called irreducible. And there is a called prime element. What is the definition of prime element? Prime element sometime in Z we write prime element and this irreducible is a synonymous, but actually not so. The primes and irreducible is not same. Irreducible means we can't divide into two different element, non-unit element. Prime is, definition of prime is if P divides AB, that means if P is a factor of AB, then either P is a factor of A or P is a factor of B. This is a definition of prime. And you can prove that every prime element is irreducible. But there is some example, not obvious, not in Z. In Z, irreducible is a prime. Irreducible elements are not prime. There are some examples where irreducible elements are not prime. Some Gaussian integer ring. There are several other rings called Gaussian ring. Lattice set of all lattice points forms a ring. This is called Gaussian ring. In that example, there are some irreducible elements which are not prime, but every prime elements are irreducible. Or in the other way, what is this? Every prime element is irreducible, or every irreducible is prime? Just a minute. Yes, every prime is irreducible. But if R is PID, then every irreducible element is prime. That's okay, it's fine. Every prime is irreducible, but irreducible may not be prime. But if it is a PID, then we have this result. This every irreducible elements are prime in a PID. And the last thing is unique factorization domain, whether this factorization is unique or not. Whether this factorization is unique or not. This is called unique factorization domain. This is very important. This factorization, different factorization domain. If there is only just a unique factorization, unique means this sense that you can always do this BC and then you take one unit element and then you take another factorization. No, not that. That means if you have a factorization like some E into F, that E is not associated with B or C and F is not associated with B or C, anyone. In that case, it's called unique factorization domain. No, not that. Sorry, unique factorization domain is not in the sense of that uniqueness. This is unique in that sense. It may be like say 12. You can write 12 in the 6 into 2 again. It's a 3 into 4. So that is not unique in this sense. Sorry, this is not. We can do this for using that unit element, but we can do this without unit element also, because 6 and 3 and 6 or 4 is not associated in Z. Remember, it is in Z. There is nothing, fraction is there. So unit factorization domain is like that. So it can be right in terms of some product of some irreducible elements, where AIs are irreducible uniquely. That is unique. Once you write in the irreducible thing, that is unique. So 2 into 2 into 3. Unique up to the ordering. You can write 2 into 2 into 3 like 2 into 3 into 2 or 3 into 2 into 2. The unique up to ordering. If you just change the order, that can change this thing, but you can always, there is a particular ordering where these are unique. So in Z, you cannot write in the two different expressions. 2 into 2 into 3, you can't say it is 3 into 4, 3 into irreducible element. You can't say it is 3 into 4. 4 is not irreducible. Here, all the irreducible are prime. Basically, in Z, it's a PID, so all the irreducible are prime. So it's actually in terms of some product of primes. And this prime factorization is unique in the sense that you can just change the order only. It is called this is called fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Every natural number can be written as the product of power of primes in a unique way, and this is true for any PID. So this is called UFD, and obviously this up to an order and up to an associate. You can just input some U and U inverse in between. So up to, you just introduce, you can just change the order. You can just introduce a associate or units in between. But other than that, you can't write in two different way of a same number. If it is not so, then it's called unique factorization domain. So this is, I think, all for ring. This is the end of lecture 1, and reference book is Rings and Musoli module, C. Musoli. Also, there are several books, but we'll follow this book. So this is the end of lecture 1. So any questions?